I am Mrs. V.T. Lakshmi, daughter of late Sri Sampathayanga, who was one of the most ancient devotees of Meher Baba from this part of South India. I came to know about Meher Baba through my father, who in his turn came to know about him through Meher Message, which was a journal published in those days by Mr. Dastur, an ex-devotee of Meher Baba. And then my father got the magazine sent to him, and when I went there during one of my short holidays, he told me all about Mr. Meher Baba and his activities. That was how I came to know about Meher Baba, and somehow there must have been a link between Meher Baba and our family from past several births. Because the moment any of us heard about him, we took a liking for him, and we were so much attached to him. Then it was on the pressing request of my sister, Mrs. K. Janaki, and my mother, that my father wrote to Mr. Dastur, who was then the chief disciple of Meher Baba, requesting Meher Baba to make a visit to Madras. It was in requesting Meher Baba to make a visit to Madras. I think it was in 1930. And Meher Baba very kindly consented to visit Madras and said that he would spend 4 days here. But all in a sudden, when we were ready to receive him on the 26th of January, we received a wire at about 6 o'clock. And the wire said that Baba cancelled all his trip to South India, that's Madras, and he was returning to Pune from Nilgiris. Then all of us frantically prayed for 2 hours and then sent an urgent message by wire to Meher Baba, asking him to change his mind and somehow make it convenient to come to Madras. Our prayer was heard, and on the 28th of January, if I remember right, he came to Madras at about 9 p.m. And his journey from Nilgiris to Madras is a very interesting one. I may be permitted to narrate it. He came with about 30 to 35 disciples in a big van, an old van. And then he came to Kanchipuram, a famous pilgrimage place, at about 1 o'clock and halted there and sent his disciple, Mr. Dastur, to Saidapet, asking him to take my father, Sampathayanga, to Kanchipuram. He said that he should come and take me to his place. Accordingly, my father went along with Dastur to Kanchipuram and brought him in a luxurious car. In those days it was a Chevrolet, but it was a very new car. And on the way, Baba asked my father, it appears, to stop the car. And he got down and said he smelt some holy atmosphere there, and he thought that a great man must have been born there. And it was subsequently found out that great Ramanuja, one of the founders of Vaishnavism, was born there. It was Sri Perambur in Chengalpattu district. You will also come across that place if you happen to go from Madras to Bangalore. Well, with that, he came here at about 9 p.m. as I told you. As soon as he got down from the car, his van came and halted some 20 yards away from our house. It was found that the axle of the van was broken. How it happened to come all along with a load of passengers in it without the axle is a miracle. Then when he came here, of course, being the first visit of his, he was received. When he came here, of course, being the first visit of his, he was received traditionally with Nadaswaram and band and all that, and hundreds of his admirers and devotees, disciples from Madras were present, and he stayed here the whole of that night, next day, and the next day. Of course, he gave interviews to my grandfather and grandmother who were alive then, and my father, mother, sister, and last but not least myself. And when I went there, of course, he wanted to know what I was doing. I was a student. I explained it to him. He said, "Carry on. By that you can do my work." That was the first sentence he told me, and I've been doing his work up till now. Well, the next day, early morning at 3:30, I think it was Mr. Dastur, he came down and said, Baba wanted to see me. When I went there, he said, "I hear that you are doing some social work in the slum. I would like you to take me to that place, and I want to see what kind of work you are doing there." Well, the next morning, my father, my uncle, Mr. C.V. Ramanuja, who is known among the Mandali people as Swamiji, who later on joined the Mandali, myself, my sister, and my nephew, Kasturi, whom you have met, and my niece, Vasumati, who is well known to you, all of us went along with him to the slum, where I was doing some social work. He wanted me to take him to one of the huts. It was done. And the old lady there came out, was half asleep, because it was very early in the morning, and wanted to know what we wanted her to do. Baba said that she would live long, and she was very happy to hear that, and he entered the hut along with all of us. And he called me and said, "Ask that old lady to give me something to drink or eat." Of course, she was a poor lady and she had nothing. Practically, every vessel of hers was empty. But there was a little kanji, the porridge, as we may call it, but it was 2 days old. It was kept there for her to take it whenever she felt like eating something. So she put it in a tin vessel, perhaps very dirty, and she said that it could be given to him. We all hesitated. It was not a clean vessel. We all hesitated. It was not a clean vessel, and we did not know what to do. It was 2 days old. But Baba said, very happily and smilingly, "Give it to me." You may know that in those days he was using an alphabetic board, handboard. And so to that he said, "Well, remember what Krishna did. You know, Lord Sri Krishna took similar old rice, beaten rice, when it was given to him by a friend of his." So Baba must have known, must have well acquainted with that story, and said, "Remember Krishna's story." And he took it and drank it very, very happily. And not only that, to the surprise of every one of us, he asked first my father to take a little bit of it. Well, he took it. My uncle took it. Of course, I took it because I was used to it. And the children, my nephew and niece, Kasturi and Vasumati respectively, they also took it. He asked everyone there how they felt when they drank it. All of us naturally said very happy, it was very nice. Baba said, well, it is elixir of life. Well, later on we returned to our place, and then there was a public darshan arranged at Meher Ashramam, which is in front of us. And of course, the idea that it should be opened by him and used as an ashram for purely for meditation and quiet reading and quiet discussions about Baba and his work, it should be used. And Baba readily consented. At 7:30, the Meher Ashram was opened by him, and hundreds of people belonging to Saidapet were present to witness it. And Baba said, never use it for any other purpose except for meditation and quiet reading of my books and thinking of me. That has been, as far as possible, observed by us up till today. So it is open, the ashram is open for anyone to come and meditate and discuss about Meher Baba and his experiences with us and with others and so on. And the third day, of course, the van was not ready because it was under repairs. One Mr. Vadivelu was another very staunch devotee of Baba. He took the responsibility of getting that van repaired. But it was not ready. And Baba was in a hurry, you know. He did not want to postpone his visit or postpone even the starting hour of his visit. So he said, from 2 a.m. that day, he wanted to go and find out. 2 a.m. that day, he wanted first to go and find out whether by 6:30 the van would be ready. And of course, one after the other, in those days there were no buses, we had to go only by train. So many of us went, and we were told that only at 9 o'clock the van would be ready. We came and delivered the message, and Baba was restless. He was walking up and down the upstairs of our house, and said, by 6 I must leave. If a van is not ready, well, some car must be made ready for me to leave the place. I shan't stay in Meher Bhavan after 6 a.m. So we were able to get a pleasure car with very great difficulty, and he, along with his close devotees, left our place at exactly 6 a.m. At 7:30, the van came and all the rest got in, and my father and I also got into it along with Kasturi and Vasumati, and we went to Punamalli, where the car was waiting with Baba in it. And we went and the entire party joined him, and they all got into the van and left. The visit was, although short, was a memorable one. Especially his lecture at Goshen Hall at Chintalvipet, one of the divisions of Madras, was a memorable one. Many people, as it were, they came, they saw him, and they were conquered. And on the spot, most of them subscribed for Meher message and took Baba's permission to communicate with him and become his admirers, devotees, lovers, whatever you may be pleased to call. And Baba readily agreed to all that. It was a memorable visit so far as our family was concerned, because my sister was carrying my second nephew, Meher. And just 3 months before Baba's visit, she had an attack of very severe smallpox. And doctors said that unless an abortion was effected, her life would be in danger. But my sister, a very staunch devotee of Meher Baba, refused. He said that I would die, but I wouldn't like to commit this infanticide. It almost amounts to that. He thought of Baba, he was thinking of Baba all along. So when Baba came, she was completely all right. There was not a single mark left behind on her face or on her body. And when Baba inquired about his health, he also told her, "You will have a very nice bonny boy and name him after me." So in August of that year, when my second nephew was born, he was named Meher Nath. And thus my sister fulfilled her promise to Baba, and there it is. So in many ways, his visit was a very memorable and historic one, even to our family. And before he left our house, he held private interviews, as it were, with every one of us. Well, I don't know what exactly he told my grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, but my sister told me that he said that she did not have any worries. She was going to be in his heart from that day onwards and forever. And he was kind enough to initiate my first nephew, Kasturi, whom we have met, into knowledge. He just told him, "Well, you will prosper well in life and you will be my dear child." So, again, from that point of view also, his first visit is ever memorable to us. Lastly, I was sent for, and I was asked to tell him what I wanted. Well, I told him that I had nothing in my mind, but I wanted to serve mankind. Of course, it was a private question. He said whether I didn't want to remarry, because I am a child widow, and so he wanted to know whether perhaps it was a test. I told him no. Then he said, "Carry on my work after your studies, and I will always bless your work." But I may tell you without any contradiction, although I did not openly demonstrate my admiration, respect, or love to him, in my own way, I have been doing my work in his name and for him and for his sake as far as possible, without thinking only of the results of my actions. And that is the impact that Baba left on me to contact with me. Well, do you want to know anything more about his first visit to our place? Yes. Apart from what I have told you? Mr. Luck, I'm sorry, I just forgot to tell you one thing, a very important thing too. During his first visit to Madras in 1930, at the request of my uncle, Mr. Ramanuja, he planted a neem tree and another tree also, both Margosa, yes, Margosa and neem tree. Margosa, people in the ashramam, in the Meher ashramam, which you see now, they have become very, very big trees, and they are remembered by everyone and spoken of as secretly as the banyan tree in the Alayar Theosophical Society gardens was often spoken of. And every one of us who get up in the morning, go and see the branches of the tree from our house or going to ashramam, and it gives us great relief. The trees planted by him have planted in our hearts our love for him and his grace for us. Well, we carried on later on correspondence, and we were able to carry on correspondence also with Meher Baba, and especially my father, my sister and I contributed number of poems, number of articles to the then Meher message. In 1934, Baba felt like coming to Madras, but not to Madras city, but to Bangalore. Or he said, to one of the districts in Madras state. But my father said that it would be better if he reconsidered and made a visit to Madras city for the second time, because by then the number of Baba lovers in a very broad sense grew, and every one of them wanted to see him. And Baba consented, and this time he said that he would stay here only for 3 days. Well, it so happened, of course none of us thought beforehand, it was not a planned thing, but it so happened that his visit, second visit to Madras city, very miraculously coincided with his birthday that year. That is in February. I think it was with his birthday that year. That is in February. I think it was in between 17th and 25th. Here, I would like to tell you one thing. That year, he asked all his devotees all over India not to celebrate his birthday. For reasons best known to him, no one could discuss with him or put questions to him, as you know. But it so happened when he came to Madras city that automatically we celebrated his birthday. And of course, he allowed us to do everything, make arati, and then have a public meeting that evening. Public meeting in the sense that people came and offered their obeisance to him and left. There was no speech making or anything like that. And of course, by way of doling out his blessings to people, he gave vibhuti and flowers, which are kept ready at his feet. And of course, force feeding was arranged, and Baba fed the first beggar who was seated in the ashram. The force feeding was arranged in the ashram as well as in our house. So, first beggar was fed. In the sense, he was offered food by Meher Baba by his own hand. It was very much appreciated. And the other thing, of course, he asked when food was taken to him. The food was prepared specially by my mother, although there were cooks. So this food was taken to him, but he said, bring payasam. It's called payasam. There's milk with sago. It's another kind of porridge, you may call it, in a liquid form. In a big vessel. He just showed his hand like that. We wondered why he wanted such a big vessel full of porridge. But anyway, it was taken to him. He asked number of small cups to be brought over. He put little in everything and asked everyone there, including the members of our family and our friends and relatives, to take. It was a very rare opportunity that something very nice, sugar, milk, was in the form of porridge, sago porridge was offered to every one of us. And it represented, so far as we were concerned, his love and his grace on us. And that night particularly, at our request, he submitted himself to our torture of eating different, putting on different dresses, and on different dresses, and we asked him to play the role of Krishna, and some of us were dancing about him, and he was dressed like Christ. He was, at his own request, he was, at his own bidding, he was dressed like Prophet Muhammad also. Unfortunately, we don't have pictures of those, but you may take it from me that it had happened in our house. So again, it was a very, very memorable visit, and he had a very long chat with every member of our family, and of course with my sister and with me. That time, I think, I was already employed in Bangalore, and he spent very long time with me, asking me several questions about my work and so on. When I told him that I was engaged in educational work, he was pleased to say it was good. He would also visit that institution of which I was the headmistress sometime in Bangalore. But he said, don't give up social work. You will have to serve women and children always. Well, in several other things he might have spoken to me, I forget, but this thing I always remember. Every night before I go to bed and every morning I get up from my bed, that I should serve women and children in the name of Meher Baba. Well, then it was early 1935 that he came to Bangalore. The first visit was almost a private one. He spent only 2 days in our small house, small for him, in Bangalore. And it was told, my niece, Vasumati, will bear it out, that one night he heard one of the records played by a famous artist and wanted us to play it again and again for a number of times. And the same night, he played hide and seek with my nephew and niece. Well, I don't know how many of us could claim that privilege of playing with us could claim that privilege of playing with Meher Baba, hide and seek. And well, all of us were thrilled by the sight. And if my nephew Kasturi and Vasumati are in a very good position and continue to be good children, then it's all due to Meher Baba's grace and blessings to them. Well, the second visit, of course, it was in connection with the establishment of an ashramam or institute, whatever you may call it, at Baramangala. He took a big house in Bangalore cantonment and stayed there for a year or two. And during which time, of course, all of us had plenty of opportunity of going and visiting him and holding conversations with him. And each time we had something nice to remember. Perhaps I don't remember all the incidents for me to narrate them to you, but some of them were thrilling, so thrilling that we were very thrilled, and we were words could not possibly hone our desire. And one particular incident I may be permitted to say. There was a small village 9 miles away from Bangalore, and he went there for a short sojourn, perhaps for a weekend you may say, for a few of his disciples. But when he wanted to return, he wanted my father to go in his car to that place and take him back to Bangalore. Well, my father, Kasturi, perhaps Vasamati, I don't quite remember, and myself, we went along in the car. Well, we were all returning with Baba. We were about nine of us in the car. And as we were approaching Bangalore city, the car ran over a lamp which stayed away from its spot. We thought it was crushed. We were all very, very unhappy that it happened like that. But Baba said, don't worry. And when all of us got down, we found, to our surprise, the lamp running away from underneath the car. There was also, but although there was a slight clot of blood left behind on the spot. I call it really a miracle because it was a miracle. See, Baba said it was not. But perhaps under any other circumstances, the lamb would have been killed. So when people sometimes ask me, the lamb would have been killed. So when people sometimes ask me, does Baba perform miracles? I always tell them, Baba never said he performed miracles, but some of his even ordinary acts appeared to be miracles to me because I couldn't perform them myself. So that is how it was. Then you may take it from me that although all of us were attached to Baba, my sister was one who was most dear to him and nearest. She was, I may say, fanatically attached to him. To her, Baba was everything and everything in life. And so, there was a time when she felt like giving up her family, children, everything, and going and staying with Baba in Bangalore. So he left a letter to us, letter behind her to us, and she went to Bangalore and stayed there. Baba slowly learned from her desire to be with him and so on. He just smiled, didn't take her to task, wrote a letter to my father saying that he would keep her for a few days and send her back. And slowly but surely, he convinced her that she should go back to her family. Whether she was in family or outside, she was always in his heart and he will be with her. And so she should not forsake her children and family and go and live with him. Well, this shows how much my sister was attached to him and how all of us didn't feel hurt when she left us, although we were anxious that she should come back to us. That was our love and devotion to Baba. Well, little later, My father he passed away, and we all felt like a ship without rudder. And it was in 1947 when we were passing through almost a crisis, domestic crisis, that we felt that Baba should come back to us once and bless us. We felt that Meher Baba should have his presence. So, that time, I had the privilege of addressing a letter to Mr. Irani, suggesting that a visit from Baba would be very timely and would be appreciated very much. Of course, Baba sent Irani first to us to find out what really we wanted. Of course, we told Mr. Irani all that we wanted was to have Baba amidst us in this house for some time and have his blessings. Well, it was very good of Meher Baba, very kind of him, and very loving of him to have made it convenient to come here with his large mandali. Those were the days when there was petrol ration and all that. So out of consideration for all that, Baba, he is one of consideration itself. And so he said, don't arrange any visits because I know that there is the petrol difficulty and all that. But somehow, miraculously again, to my mind, petrol came, rice came, milk came, everything was available so far as his and his mandali were concerned. And he stayed for nearly 4 days. We were able to, with the cooperation of Madras lovers, we were able to arrange 4 big meetings. And at each one of them, he gave his darshan and he blessed everyone who came to pay his obeisance to him. Well, the mayor of Madras then, one Mr. Sundararajan Naidu, he requested him to visit his theatre, the Sun Theatre. You still see it in Mount Road. There was an ordinary picture going on, but whatever it might be, Baba went there, blessed him, and a royal reception was given to him. Petals of flowers were thrown, and a number of people were present, apart from the audience of the theatre, and they were all blessed by Babaji with his smiles and his gaze. To some of them he gave sugar candies, to some of them gave flowers, and every one of them was pleased. Then, at my request, he was pleased to visit a rescue home and a vigilance home, both of which are still functioning for the benefit of the fallen women. Of course, these, as you know, as in America, are closed institutions. But the moment we asked for permission from government, the government, without probing into things, gave permission to take men inside the 2 homes. So Baba, his mandali, and many flowers of Madras and neighborhoods in 6 cars and 1 bus, they all came to those 2 institutions, of which I was then the head, and Baba spent nearly 1 hour and a half there. The girls in a queue passed by him, took his blessings, touched his feet, and offered him a beautiful white garland made of khadi. And this light but very good looking garland pleased Baba and said that he would like it very much and he would keep it. So thereafter, we were sending him similar garlands on his birthdays. The last time when my niece went at the time of his birthday celebrations, we sent one such garland to her, and you would see in the film he's having it around his neck, and I was told that he didn't feel like removing it till the very end. He liked it, not because of the value of garland or the nature of garland or quality of garland, but because it was offered to him by girls who were not quite accepted by society, but who are dear to him, because Baba, as he always told us, more for the poor, downtrodden, despised, discarded, than for the better strata of society. Well, I can go on telling you more about Baba as far as I know and his impact on people. But I do not know whether time is permitted. And I think for the rest, I would like questions to be put to me, and I would answer them. Well, between 1947, so Baba's last visit to Madras, and 1962, fairly a long time, I had the privilege of meeting Baba physically. But nevertheless, correspondence was carried on, and from time to time, Baba gave me instructions to carry on my work with his blessings. In 1962, all of a sudden one day, my sister received a letter from Baba asking her to find out why I did not go to him from time to time and take his blessings. What was the matter with me? My sister showed that letter to me and said, well, you are a culprit, so you must at once go and offer your obedience to Baba. Make it convenient. Take leave, or even without leave, go to Pune and meet him. So, with the greatest of difficulty, at that time, leave could not be easily got. Yet, in Baba's name, when a letter sent to government, the leave was granted. So with my last niece, Jayanti, I left Madras for Pune in 1962, January. Well, prior to my visit to Pune, I must tell you that I felt so bad and so I don't know, so much disgusted with myself that I should have let a long period pass without my going and seeing Baba. So I wrote a very long letter of 14 pages asking him for his forgiveness and telling him that there was no other reason other than my engrossed in my work. But anyway, I ended the letter, I remember, with a couple of lines. Of course, they are not in a poetic way, but anyway, it is 2 lines. I said, wherever I may be, I do your work and serve you through it. Wherever I may be, I do my work and thereby serve you. Well, this letter must have gone to him. And so, when I actually went with my niece to meet him at Guru Prasad, with my niece to meet him at Guru Prasad, there was a big gathering of visitors, Mandali people, and I was asked by Mr. Irwin to wait for some time. But from outside, I could overhear something going on in that room. And a few words fell into my ears, and they were, I recognized to be the words of my letter. I was a bit annoyed that my confidential letter should have been read out. But I had no time to think more about it. I was sent for. And Baba said, well, the prodigal child has come back to me. Well, I want this to be noted by you, not because of any publicity, but how Baba, without approaching me or not having gone to see him, called me prodigal son, prodigal child, but at the same time said that prodigal child was not discarded but welcomed by him. It had so much to tell me and convince me about. Thereafter, of course, everything was formal, asked me all about family, my work and all that. And he said that he was pleased with what I had been doing, and he was also pleased that I was kept longer in government service than I should have been, because he said that the work was well done by me and appreciated by government, and more than that, he said he liked me to go on with that work still for 1 more year. So I stayed there for 2 days, and what was my surprise and my nieces when we were called again by Baba to meet him the next day before we left for Madras. Well, I am very much moved to recollect those words and tell you, but the words he spoke to me in person last. Of course, I never thought that that was going to be the last time I was going to receive any instructions from him personally, and they were, till you drop your body, carry on my work. What his work was? Carry on my work. What his work was, I did not ask him because I was bewildered. I had no mind to ask him. I couldn't think. But anyway, I feel that any work that is for the benefit of women and children is his work. And I have been doing that work up till now, in his name, remembering his last words, till you drop your body, do my work. Well, later, nothing worth mentioning happened except correspondence was carried on. And in 1929, we knew, all of us knew from the beginning that he was not physically well, and so he was not giving his lesson to anyone. And on the 31st of January 1969, when the news of Baba having dropped his body came to me, I felt stunned, dumbfounded, of course, but I felt that so far as Baba's real lovers are concerned, he will never be no more, because he will always be enshrined in their hearts. Yes, during his first visit, another very important thing happened. Just before he left Madras back for Ahmednagar, he called for a small conference of my father, my uncle and myself, and wanted my father to repeat his request. My father told him that it was the wish of so many people in Madras that something substantial should be started and be done in memory of Meher Baba in Madras state. Baba said, "Well, what is it you think you can do in the matter?" My father said, "Probably a magazine, a monthly magazine could be published and propagating Baba's teachings and principles." Baba said, "It's a good idea, and call it Meher Gazette." We are all very happy. Meher Message in the north and Meher Gazette in the south. North and Meher Gazette in the south, we thought, could carry further Meher Baba's message. Then my uncle suggested a league could be formed after Baba, that all people who believed in one God, one religion, and believed in casteless, colorless, and casteless society be formed there. Baba approved of it. While Meher Gazette was conducted for a few years, Meher League had to be discontinued for certain valid reasons at the bidding of Meher Baba. In connection with the publication of Meher Gazette, he cautioned us that he should be absolutely above politics, free from politics. He should confine itself purely to socio-religious matters. But even those matters should be non-controversial. He also warned us against putting in all sorts of advertisements, but pick and choose only those who help the uplift of mankind in that paper. He said, apart from speaking about himself and his work, his activities, his principles, and so on, that Meher Gazette should also publish the lives of great men in the religious field, but those matters also should be absolutely above controversy. As far as possible, my father and I and my uncle kept to these principles in editing that magazine and publishing it for a few years. Baba did not insist on my doing whatever he wanted me to do. Still, I found surprisingly that ultimately I did whatever he wanted me to do because that was the right thing to be done. At the same time, I had the satisfaction that I argued with him and then I placed all my views before him. That way, Baba always impressed me that he was a sort of friend.
Yes.
I would like to tell you that the reason why I was immediately drawn to Meher Baba was that the way in which he treated every one of us in the same way. He was not one of those religious leaders whom I had come across earlier who would like to force their opinions on their devotees or disciples. They thought that their words had to be accepted as the laws of Persians and academies. I felt very happy and proud of being a follower of Baba, a child of Baba, because he was, in the first place, quite approachable, accessible to every one of us. I always felt that I was not a very perfect person as one would like herself to be, but I felt that I could be very, very free with Baba, and Baba allowed me to tell him all that I felt like and all that I desired to speak about. He didn't stop me, he didn't reprimand me, he did not force his opinions on me. He lent me a very, very patient and loving hearing, and he received all that I wanted to say or I said with a pleasant smile. And whenever I halted wanting to know his opinion, he always tossed his head and said, "Go ahead." So that kind of freedom I had made me feel very bold to treat him in the same way as I treated my father. By nature, I must admit I am a little bit argumentative. I won't accept anything that is being said just like that. I would like to be convinced of the right or the justification of doing it before I start doing it. The same way, during Baba's visits, whenever I was asked to do something or the other by people in the name of Baba, I refused to do. I straight went to Baba and argued with him and placed before him my points of view. And invariably, I am pleased to say, Baba agreed with me and said, "All right, go ahead." There was not a time when he forced me to do what he wanted. But in the end, I found, to my surprise, that I did what he intended me to do in the end. It was always felt by me to be a great miracle how people who did not believe in Baba, and as a matter of fact, who did not believe in God himself, and when they came to our place just to meet Baba and put certain inconvenient questions to him, and later on ridicule and scoff at him. Came here, not one, but more than half a dozen or a dozen on each occasion. Came, saw him, and particularly Baba chose such people to give them particularly flowers or fruits, and the moment they received them, it happened that they were converted because they wanted to see him again and again, come in the queue and see him again and again, and take his blessings. And all of them invariably, when they met me later, said in one voice that they could not forget his illuminating face. So that is the impression that Baba has left not only on his dearest and nearest ones, but on all people who came to him. Because entire mankind he regarded as his children. Anything else?